All right, we are live. Welcome to KiteTalks. This is Arup Sons here. I have a special guest with us. Well, I can call him, he's the only 7-foot friend that I know. And an introduction to somebody like this isn't, there's a lot of accolades, a lot of things to talk about. We have Vladimir Stepania with us. Vladimir is the first Georgian to ever play in the NBA. He's represented teams like the Seattle SuperSonics, New Jersey Nets, Miami Heat, Portland Trail Blazers. Again, I was lucky enough to be part of the same class with Vlad, and it was a fantastic experience. Again, we spent some time together. Vlad, thanks for taking the time out. Really appreciate it. I know it's really early morning your time, but thanks for taking the time out for us.
Yeah, thank you, Arup, for introduction. Thank you for your kind words. It's vice versa. It has been a pleasure having you as a classmate and back almost a decade ago in New York City. It's a pretty good school. I know I told you you're a knowledgeable guy. Anything I can do, anything I can help you somehow and answer your questions for your audience, I'm happy to do so. So thanks for inviting me. And I'm, saluting all your listeners, and I'm happy to, do follow-up after that if somebody has certain questions about some topics. I'm at your service, my friend. Thank you.
Awesome. No, I really appreciate it. Thanks. I mean, we normally have, I would say sports business people, but this is sort of the first time we're having somebody, a player, and an ex-player, especially of your caliber, having played with so many teams. I want to start early on in your career. I have a question more related to, how did you get into basketball? I know you played on the other side of the ocean and not in the NBA first. And sort of how did that come about? How was your what was your introduction to basketball? And then we can sort of move to how did you jump to the NBA?
Well, kind of want to. I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't know how much your listeners know about like 90s and stuff like that. But to be brief and to kind of give you a quick snapshot. So I grew up in former Soviet Union, Republic of Georgia. My mom's like a Russian nationality. My father is Georgian, right? So we had a relatively distant life. I went to school and stuff like that. But some unfortunate events in early 90s happened when I was at the age of finishing school. I tend to be a good basketball player, but I was not good. I was like a tall and prospective, and Georgia back then could not produce a quality basketball players, right? I don't know, it was gap of coaching, this and that, but I was very tall. And I had some physical, I had some, gifts, right? I was gifted, right? But I was not good. Like, for instance, in Georgia national team, I wasn't like star player. We had a couple of players that actually also had some gifts, and they were good as well. And I was probably 5, 6, 7, and stuff like that. So during this crisis, when it was a disaster. I mean, it was like civil war in downtown, people shooting each other, no electricity in a city, no bread. My father used to get up at 3 a.m. and whether it was Red Cross or some humanitarian organization, they were bringing like a bread, and there was a big line of people in the darkness, and they had this fire in the winter because it was too cold. And like at 2 miles, like a mile away downtown, people would be shooting each other. Another thing that really helped us that my mom, actually, I said that she's Russian, and she used to work in a Russian company, Airfloat, right? So we had the ability to actually get gas, and she was carrying this. So I don't want to go in details. I mean, this is very harsh. And I know some in people in India, I mean, they come from like, some poverty neighborhoods in the 60s. So this is probably very related to them. So in this moment, this was not about, I want to play basketball and stuff like that. This is, okay, I want to get out of here. I want to, because I'm going to get shot tomorrow. I'm going to get, like, somebody might spend a knife at you. I mean, it was really bad. So because I was like this was some asset given me by God. We started exploring, and we didn't have lots of options, unfortunately, because you still live in Soviet Union, you have Soviet passport, right? And you
Mhm.
cannot leave the country without like another passport. And the government needs to give you okay. And other countries don't want you because you don't know who you are. You have to go through this stuff. So you had very limited options where to go. And I think I remember at the age of 16, I went to Israel by with national team. And the contrast that I saw in Israel, basketball and like sunshine, and I saw airport and no bombshells and no like darkness. I
Mhm.
just didn't want to come back home. Like, well, I want to stay here. I don't want to go back. So I didn't stay there back then, but then on the later, I tried some teams. It wasn't successful. I broke my foot or I sprained my foot, and they sent me back. Then at the age of 16, well, I think age of 16 or when I turned 17, I went to Greece because there was a loophole, loophole with Georgia and like a Kazakhstan and some Crimea. They had lots of Greek people live there ethnically, and they were getting this Greek citizenships and some there was a path to go, like they go to the Greek embassy. So, my grandma is Greek, so I want to go to my country. Like if you're Jewish, like oh I'm Jewish, so here's my papers, like and here's my whatever, I want to go there. So everybody who found some kind of stuff, or people like oh I'm a Jehovah Witness and I really believe in religion. I want to go to America because explore freedom. So everybody was exploring the way how to escape as soon as possible from Georgia, from these special areas, right?
Mhm.
Um, so there was, like I said, a loophole to go to Greece. I went to Greece with a team. I stayed there a little bit. Now it's getting interesting because Greek, I'll expand on that because Greece was the second league in Europe back then, 90s. Unbelievable basketball. Unbelievable. Greeks, it's like, I mean, people get paid lots of money. It was unbelievable. Culture and teams were unbelievable. Popularity of basketball was so good. So unfortunately, the Greek team that I was kind of assigned had an unfortunate event with Turkish team in the finals. They beat them, but they cheated really badly. And during the post game, the fans went after each other, and Greeks overruled the Turks. They ended up killing them, like 10, 15 people. I don't know all the details now, but and they got penalized from FIBA back then. They couldn't play with public for 2, 3 years and stuff like that. So, I mean, I was set up with a team, but at the age of 16, 17, with a junior team. But because of this event, they had to cut huge budget, this and that. I did get, I think, some kind of paperwork from Greece that I could be their citizen, stuff like that. But that process hasn't really completed, not just between, but like maybe 15, 20 other players because of this event, right? And then opportunity came, like right away, like opportunity came uh, from team in former Yugoslavia, Slovenia, to start over again. Yeah, at the age of 17, after all this stuff, after all these trials, I went there for relatively very small compensation. But it was a good basketball school. They've had, and even now they're pretty good. And idea was okay. I'll go to this country because they have a good basketball school and it's less competition than these monsters in Greece. Because you had these kids from all the world, you had to compete with them, and it was really hard. And in my mind, I was still a kid going to the art class and try to be architect or somebody scientist, not really a basketball player. These kids come from rough neighborhood, they tough, and they just stuff like that. Slovenia was some kind of less competitive. And then I stayed there. I signed a contract there, and yeah, I spent there 4 years. First year I played in junior team. Second year I think I still play in junior team. Then I played Division One team, and year fourth I actually made the first team. And that team I was just looking. That team qualified for a Champions League in basketball, and that year was probably the best year the team ever had. And I was one of the top players there, at the age of 21 and 20, I think, 20 or 21, something between 20 and 21. So we qualified European Champions League finals, semifinals, and we lost, So it was a sensation, right? And I don't know how I all this work, that hard work that I put in, and it just paid off. We're beating like monsters in basketball. Bayer Leverkusen, Barcelona, I don't know, Greek teams. I know PAOK. I remember who, Seville, who else? Alba Berlin, some teams. I don't remember all of them, but like Turkish teams, Efes, Oker, and we're beating them. I mean, and I don't know how much, like I said, our audience know basketball, but from that 12 players, right, that we had, nine, they become a superstar. Like they went to NBA and all the best nine, every 10, right? And two of them, they were older, retired, right? So I don't know, we had that team actually. I can give you names and stuff like that. I can expand on it. It's like Ben Udrich, Rašin Nesterović, Brezec, Nahbar, Milic. I mean, Doncic was a kid. He was a ball boy. There's Luka Doncic, even Dragic year after. So all this like a wave of like a superstars were in the team, you know. And I was one of the best players there. I was actually, it just happened that way. I mean, they had lots of good players too, but that season I was carrying them, me and some American guys. So anyway, that's how I got introduced, and that season determined my eligibility for draft, for interest in the other European teams. And if you have other questions, if you wanna dig into it, we can talk about it. If you wanna move to like United States or some other stuff, we can talk. I know you have limited time, so I mean I can talk
No,
about that.
I think it would be interesting to then how did that jump happen to the United States? How did the
Oh,
NBA sort of come about? And I think this was what 1998.
97, 98. Okay, so this is the thing. Now I'll tell you something. Maybe your listeners are not prepared to hear because they still
Go
idealize
for it.
NBA and stuff like that. I was not a fan of NBA. Personally, me, I didn't want to go. I had some issues with health. I was kind of skinny and stuff like that. And European players back then, they didn't like the National Basketball Association because you come, you have different culture, and hard to succeed. People go there, don't play, and they make them. But on the other side, the American players come here, right? Take like a big shot, but you play against them, but they're not a big deal. Uh, Year after, right? Year after, and this is not news. For instance, second year after the year, I played against Dominic Wilkins, right? He was a big name and he played in Europe, in Italy, Italian team. Paid multi-million dollar contract, huge expectation about this and that, and not just him, there's a couple other guys. And we beat them twice, and he scored like 9 points or maybe 11 points, I mean, I think we beat them there, we beat them home, and he got under fire, and I guard him. I mean, yeah, he's good. I mean, he's physically and whatever, but I mean, I didn't have this idea that they're so much better than us. That and this is just me. Lots of players like they're not so. And I played year after. I made an All-Star team, All Europe All-Star. I represented Eastern no, Eastern Europe, like Croatia, Slovenia, Israel, Russian Federation. I think Germany, Poland, Turkey, right? And we played against Western Europe, right? It was like France, Italy, Spain, Portugal. Um, I think like I don't know, maybe England, but England didn't have basketball, so I don't know, but something like that. So East West. We play against like Byron Scott was playing. He was good, but I mean, I see these guys like so long story short, my second year wasn't as good, and I had small injury. But I was 22 already, 22, and so by the rules in FBA, they can still draft you. I did went to the United States. I worked out for teams, but I didn't put lots of effort to it. I tried, but I just didn't want to go. And the teams that promised me to draft didn't draft me. I think Milwaukee and Phoenix, they draft somebody else. Whether this information got leaked out that I didn't really want to do it or something like that, Actually, in the process, I liked it. I mean, some teams I liked it, but at the same time, I had 1 more year contract, right? So I was contract, so I couldn't go same year. My team was asking for lots of money for us to go because he had transfers, right?
Yeah.
So long story short, I got drafted by Seattle SuperSonics, but I never worked out. I never met them, you know. So and now, and it was first round, but it was relatively low pick. I mean, end of first round, toward the end. So I really want to go Italy, Turkey, places because you make much more money going and stuff like that. You know, coaches, you just start there. I mean, you go to this
Yeah.
team in the United States. But now I have a contract, right? Contract. And my team, right, they came like, okay, you get drafted. It's 97 or something like that, 97 or 97, I think. You get drafted, and NBA can only pay you so much money, right? There is a cap, right?
Yeah.
They can only pay us so much money, like I think it was 250 or 260 or 240 per as a buyout clause, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of wanted to go in Europe, right? So right here, like Benetton Treviso or Panathinaikos or Turkish team, right? We kind of wanted to go there, so you know they can pay us more money instead of that set fee. And then I had this agent, right? And so agent, they start making these deals behind my back with this, says, okay, he'll go there. And so basically, I think that my departure was already set, but they will never tell me the numbers, how much I'm going to get paid, right? I'm like, I need to know that, man. I mean, how I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So then my agent starts telling me, start preparing me. Well, you're going to sign this deal, 4 or 5 years. Your compensation is going to be, you know, somewhere between 300 to 500,000, this and that. Every year it'll go up a little bit, so they'll take care of you, this and that. I'm like, okay, that's good. But then I start asking questions. Okay, if I'm getting, because I know guys my caliber get compensated over $1 million, right? So I understand, but it's kind of on the lower side. But what about my team? Don't worry about your team, you know, we'll just take care of them, don't worry. What do you mean, don't worry? I mean, how much are they going to get? Well, they're kind of asking for 1.5, 2 million. 1.5, are you kidding me? I'm not paying that money. I'll just play here for free for 1 year, and I'm going to leave for free. You know? And I had to fire the agent. I said, you know, it's okay. I mean, they need to get something, right? But, you know, get $500,000, $750,000. I mean, a reasonable number, right? I mean, you pay me very small amount of money anyway, right? I mean, you don't pay me, you don't pay me more than $10,000 a month. Now you want to make all these millions, right? And I have a free car and free food, but, you know, it's, for me, it was not so fair. Like, okay, yeah, I help you. You help me, but I also help you, right? We helped you. You made this team. You are one of the European powerhouse. You have all these players, you know, lined up, right? So why you want me to go and sign something so you can actually? So unfortunately, partially my fault too, because I was young and I didn't know how to carry myself, and also, so I fired this guy, and the new guy came in, and things got delayed. So, and also this information got leaked to European players, European teams. So we like Stepania. He's a good player. He's in a good team. We're going to get him next year for free. So why he'll be pissed. So why I have to pay his team all this money when he'll be always pissed and he'll be always kind of looking back. So let's kind of, you know, let's wait for another year, take a risk, and we'll just get him for nothing, right? And now then some events happened. Events happened that NBA, I'm drafted. NBA not in the conversation right now. Like, I'm drafted, right? Seattle calling like, oh, we like you, this and that. Okay, whatever, that's good, yeah. Now NBA has a lockout.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That year, right? They don't play.
Right.
Season's going on, right? And I play a distant game, and I had some issues with the stomach, and some games are good, some games are bad. I still start. My performance are not bad, so-so. A little bit stressed. Team plays with some mental games. They decided not to pay me for like 3 months. Nothing, right? I was actually borrowing money for somebody to, you know, it was really bad, right? So they do that dirty place, you know. And then they decide, okay, we'll pay you, because they figure out, okay, we need a guy to eat. And, you know, I mean, he steals something. So they pay me like a cheap change. NBA is not playing. And now, after January, all of a sudden there is a word like, okay, they're gonna reach the agreement, NBA, and you have obligation to go NBA because you're a first round draft pick, and you can go. So now I'm thinking, okay, I mean, first of all, this year was distant year, but I didn't make any money, most of it, you know. Now in NBA I go, I make a little bit, so I can play from February to like a June or May. Basically, same year I can double. I mean, not double, but make much more in NBA because these guys didn't pay me much. And I can over there I can decide. I mean, I didn't know this culture, and again, this is a problem with me being young and uneducated and have probably bad representation, not as good representation as possible. So right now I'm looking back. And yeah, that first year in Seattle, it was okay, but I can look back. It could go. I mean, I could have stayed in Europe and be like a free man and had explore all the options because I only had 2 months to go. 2 months to go, and I had lots of interest. So that move, coming and sign in Seattle on February, or when training camp started in February, when basically European League was almost finishing. They had like 4 games left, and local championship was easy. I don't think it was justifiable. I think it was a mistake for me because what's happened was all this stress and issues that I had with the team and finances and stuff like that. I had some stress. I couldn't eat. I lost some weight. I came from one season to another season without any break, right? And then the first time when I actually hurt my knee a little bit, I wasn't prepared, physically because I was in shape and everything, but I wasn't prepared, and team was very good. A year ago, they had gone to the finals, and now I come there as a star player, and they have like a team like Gary Payton, Wayne Baker, Detlef Schrempf, I have like a cascade of players, right? And like, I mean, you're just a kid. And training camp comes, I play against them. I mean, I don't think I'm much worse than them, and they're surprised. Right? NBA like, oh, European kid can play. We didn't know that. We just draft him to be like a bench warmer, just end of the first round, whatever. Like kind of. So that was the problem back then, So, and I think that was a mistake. But it's still, the first year was not bad. Unfortunately, these injuries happened, and culture was not good in Sonics here. It was not a good match for me. I think some other team like Miami, New York, or even San Antonio, like somebody who had a better structure, outfit in right away, I could be much more successful. Probably these injuries could be avoided, and they would actually take care of me better. But Sonics was not a good fit, and the culture was not, I was really strict, X and O player, coached very well in Europe, right? Ball moves. Here is like one-on-one, lots of kind of politics, locker room politics and stuff like that. So that was all new to me. That also contributed to some chaos and some confusion.
Yeah.
And and then obviously from that point on, kind of next 2-3 years, my career went kind of down the hill because of the injuries. I didn't speak English very well. The team didn't really put lots of effort to help me. But I just want to be honest with you and express I don't know how much that.
It's fantastic to hear your perspective, and totally appreciate the honesty. It's because coming from somebody like you from the inside, it's really good to sort of know that, I mean, this is what, and you're probably not the only player who's faced that, right? I mean, there's exactly, there's multiple players that have had to deal with something like this, and no, really appreciate you being open about it.
Coming to the United States in early 90s was like a 50-50 chance because there was lots of politics. In our generation, I think, not me necessarily, but people like me and people get drafted, like Peja Stojakovic, like so you had Nesterovic, you had Mirza. You had lots of players, waves, and they somehow established themselves in Europe. They say, we are equal here. We came here to play. We don't care about culture. We don't care about, we come here to play. We come here to take the money, earn contract, and be good. And we work as hard. We're as good, right? And we wanna say our word, right? yeah, we have accent. We might don't eat, you know, egg and cheese or macaroni and cheese. I'm trying to be sarcastic, right? But
Yeah.
we're good. They want to take it, right? So it was a cultural kind of fight in the days because lots of players, like I remember Dražen Petrovic, right? That he was suffering. He couldn't get playing time. And even Vlade Divac and all these players worked so hard. Idea was we have to be the top of the top of the top of the top to make it in NBA.
Yeah.
Our generation says no. Like Andrei Kirilenko, year after me, came in Utah, drafted 25th, superstar, you know? And you have lots of players like that, you know? So I think the generation actually proved themselves that you don't have to be top players in Europe. Dirk Nowitzki, he was drafted with me, right? He was playing in Division Two, right? In Germany, right? He was not, I mean, he was a distant player, Division Two. We didn't know who the guy was in Europe, right? I mean, you know the guy, okay, he's like whatever, you know. But so Dallas took the chance on him, got so much heat, like, oh, you took this guy from division in Europe, German guy, you know, white guy, skinny, you know, not very tough, you know. But he was struggling for first 2 years, obviously, but then he became good, yeah. So I think also this time was when European and foreign players established themselves in the United States as equal, as a good. And right now, I mean, they draft players in Europe from, you know, I mean, I don't know, from junior leagues and this and that, and they come and they perform very well.
Yeah. Tell me, I mean, I know we have like maybe 6, 7 odd minutes left. Just want to, when you sort of move to the teams, want to just understand sort of the business side, or were those decisions made by you, or how did sort of the or your agents work on your behalf, and just want to understand from your perspective as a player, how did you sort of deal with I mean, moving from team to team, and were those sort of your calls, or how did that work?
Well, again, you know, sometimes like sometimes you have options, which is good. Like my second year after Miami Heat, I had lots of options, and I ended up with a Portland. But you know, some things you know didn't set in the right way. But again, I mean, I didn't have a smooth career like some other people have. Ideally, when you play in basketball, you have a distant year. You get together with the representative and see what options do you have. And sometimes you have options, sometimes you don't. And it's really up to timing with teams, salary cap, politics of the team. It's probably one of the most stressful area for agency. So in my case, Miami was probably my best team. It was very similar to European settings with Pat Riley, a very strict coach and stuff like that. And I really liked it. You know, it was hard, but it was very clear for me. What should I do? There was no communication barrier. Locker room was magnificent. Like, I mean, you could sit with Alonzo Mourning. I mean, I think it was a couple other players. I mean, it's pleasure to play there. I mean, it's very hard, but I mean, for me, it was very good because, you know, people come. I remember Alonzo, right, had his kidney issues. He was in the gym 7 a.m. every day, right? 7 a.m. He was on bicycle, coaches there, everybody's first class organization. I have to admit that since then, since 90s, lots of people try to actually copy that model. Like I know San Antonio does, LA does, and stuff like that, because idea was that the coaches and stuff, they need to serve players, and each player is individual, right? You know, and you need to kind of adjust to his needs, right? If he has injury, he wants to basically come early. You know, he needs to some routine for his shoulder or some legs and massage. If you provide that, right, as a team, provide massage therapies or provide this and that and kind of really study his biomechanics, you'll advance much further because he's an asset that you might utilize down the road. But some teams didn't have that. Like, I don't think some people do have that kind of philosophy. They're like, we have 8 guys and we're going to go with it. Everybody else if they'll survive, they'll survive. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of felt like, you know, some teams they're doing, you know. So, yeah, and obviously you want to be in this first class organization teams. That's a priority. And you know when you play, okay, because you talk with other players and so you kind of see what kind of playing, what kind of food, how they get treated before and after practice. So when Miami opportunity came, I was very excited. And I did relatively well there. Unfortunately, I still had the issues and injuries, and my career ended up relatively shortly. But it was a good. I should have probably stayed there, but it just happened that I couldn't stay. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that stuff.
Well, I'm going to jump out of sort of your playing career and sort of briefly end with or try and talk about you've. I mean, you then sort of went to pursue your master's. That's where we met. I mean, a few years after that, of course. But is that something that you always thought you'd want to do in terms of study? I know since then you've done multiple other degrees, like you mentioned earlier. You're also pursuing a PhD. I mean, and the way, I mean, when we met, I always knew that you always worked really hard because I remember at the time you were managing multiple other businesses while you were doing your masters. I mean, that I think that drive still exists. And that time when you plan to do your I mean study sports business, what was the thought process
Yeah.
and what did you
So,
think of where was it going to go?
well, thank you for these questions, right? First of all, I'll get back to it. Recently I got approached from I'm part of a retired player basketball association,
Mm-hmm.
and lots of players, and sometimes they reach out to me and my level because of lots of athletes have struggles, right? They struggle about post-career change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And only warranty for that is amount of money they save, and if they can live on it for a while, that makes
Yeah.
things difficult, right? In my case, it was different. My case, first of all, I didn't make huge amount of money. I made a little bit, but it was okay to, I mean, I could be comfortable, but I didn't make this multi-million-dollar contract because of my injuries. Then I had some issues with physical stuff. And also, I came from Republic of Georgia. It was country not well established. I had a little brother and family to help and support a little bit. And remember when I started the conversation, I was pretty good student, right? I was going to be an architect, painter, and stuff like this. So I had this drive to read, this and that. So when I remember when I was flying in first class, when I working out with people and people opening up Wall Street Journal, see the stock stuff, and I didn't understand. I had this like complex, like I'm not good. Like yeah, I'm athlete, but I just I'm just a kind of I look at these people. They read, they analyze, they know how look at how they look, right? Look at this wiseness. Look how they carry themselves. I cannot even. They look at me like some kind of joke. They cannot talk to me about like anything else except basketball. I was so insulted by it. Like, dude, I'm much better than that. Talk to me about architecture, talk about business opportunity. Don't talk about basketball, you know. So it was really personal to me. I wanted to prove the world that no, when you meet Vladimir Stepania, yeah, I played in the NBA, but I'm so much more than that.
No.
That basketball that happened like 10 years ago, And yeah, I mean, I think that I overachieved in that because, yeah, that was a drive. And I actually proved myself and everybody else. Whether it's really paid off for me to really, it's another question. I think that, like I said, it's good. Like, it's nothing wrong for you to be basketball and not to have knowledge in certain topics, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's okay. I mean, because we live in different economy stuff. For you to be good in some topic, you probably need to 5 to 7 years of hard study and experience and so on. So it's all achievable. So for me, back in 90s and stuff like that, from everyone I knew, former basketball players, this and that, I mean, no one had a degree, no one was educated. It was always same topic. It was always same kind of circles and stuff. And for me, I had this hunger, right? Back then we didn't have internet, YouTube, right? So I couldn't really explore. Back then it was really hard for me. I really was hunger to meet with people. I didn't tell them. I said, I'm tall, but I'm a student,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm an art student, right? Or I work in I work in macaroni factory, right? I do some stuff, or I'm some kind of stuff, right? I'm an international student. I never told people that I play. Even in NYU, remember, I was trying to hide the topics. I'm just a tall guy. I'm just,
Yeah.
so I want people to like me and talk to me and, get to know me as who I was, not because I had a label of MBA or something like that.
Yeah.
like I said, I had that ego and I had that stuff, and that's why I have this hunger for study and stuff like that. Now I study for different purposes because I'm invested in certain entities, and I have family, and I need to develop, and we live in a different world. You need to always get better and stuff like that. And unfortunately, things like hunger state, but uh, needs are different. But I have this stuff that I attend to classes, go to the shows, go to the trade shows, always try to find something new. That's really helpful habit, and I think everyone has it, right? So that's the answer. I don't know if I answered exactly the question the way I need it, but I think whoever listens, I think it's pretty clear, right?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And like I said, I mean, you had that drive then. I remember when we met, and I mean, I can still see it now, and you're consistently sort of working to it. I know you have multiple businesses, and I want to take this opportunity again to say thanks for really taking the time out. I know you're busy, and I know there's a lot of things going on. There's family at home, but I mean, it's been a pleasure, and I
So
really,
I appreciate.
really appreciate it.
I appreciate Arup. Anytime I need anything you guys need, I'm proud of you. I actually, first of all, I wanna see lots of gratitude. It's always a pleasure to see you. And I think you'll do very well. I will support all the projects if I have to, if I need to, if I can. And I think people like you are iPod for the industry. I think India, the fact that you moved back to India, and I think that you provide this knowledge. I think you are up to something big, and people like you make difference. Generation when like our children and stuff like that. I really hope that people looking back say, okay, this was one of the guys who really believed that this change, and really believe in psychological change. Because I understand you in India, and I'm not really involved, but changing culture, right? Something I learned, and I went to these seminars, and the culture always wins, but culture can be changed and persuaded, right? And
Correct.
people like you in India try to promote sports activities with billions of people that are not familiar with certain activities, and kids that can believe, and businesses that can believe that yes, we can, right?
Yeah.
Like, reason why I said all this stuff, because I was gonna finish with stuff, but when we played with 90s, when we played in the United States, we came, nobody believed in us that we like European players can compete with Americans. And look at now, look at Luka Doncic. His father played with me. He was a little ball boy. I have pictures, right? He's one of the best players. Why India cannot do it?
Yeah. You're
This
right.
is Slovenia, 2 million people. India has billion. You tell me you don't have like a one or two. No. So, but I think it's um, I think people like you, who's this, we call them transformational leaders, right? You dictate this transformation. You preach and you try to business persuade, because business doesn't like risk. Like, why should we invest money in basketball or volleyball or some kind of tournaments? We are not good anyway. Why? I have to buy some other stuff, right? But no, just because and I believe in India. I think it has lots of stuff to offer. I think I read lots of books about India, and I think you are at something big. It's always my pleasure, and I want to salute all your listeners. Anything you guys need here, I'm here at your service, my friend.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate the kind words, and yeah, small
Yeah,
steps. We can do it. That's
yeah.
I love that.
Okay, okay, Arup, thank you. I appreciate, and thanks for everybody. And I'm here to all. If someone has any questions about stuff like that, I'm here to help.